All right, good morning, everyone. Let's just go with what we have today. Today is a beautiful day. Today is the 18th day of the month of July 2026, and we are in another day of our series. The entire series is called Wisdom for Life, anchored in God's presence. And today, the 18th day, we'll be looking at peaceful living. I'm going to focus on relationships today, peaceful living under relationship. And it's a very interesting topic to look at. But before we go on into our biblical analysis today, let me just read carefully Proverbs 17. Now, the entire Proverbs 17 does not talk about relationship, but generally, you are going to get what it means today. So Proverbs 17 from verse 1. Better a dry crust with peace and quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. A dry crust is a morsel, just small food that you eat, a dry crust. A prudent servant will rule over a disgraceful son and will share the inheritance as one of the family. The crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the hearts. A wicked person listens to deceitful lips. A liar pays attention to a destructive tongue. Whoever mocks the poor shows contempt for their maker. Whoever gloats over disaster will not go unpunished. Children's children are a crown to the head, and parents are the pride of their children. Eloquent lips are unsuited for a godless fool. How much worse lying lips to a ruler? A bribe is seen as a charm by the one who gives it. They think success will come at every turn. Whoever will foster love covers over offense, but whoever repeats the matter separates close friends. A rebuke impresses a discerning person more than 100 lashes a fool. Evildoers foster rebellion against God. The messenger of death will be sent against them. Better to meet a bear robbed of her cub than a fool bent on folly. Evil will never leave the house of the one who pays back evil for evil. Starting a quarrel is like breaching a dam. So drop the matter before a dispute breaks out. Acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent, the Lord detests them both. Why should fools have money in hand to buy wisdom when they are not able to understand it? A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversary. One who has no sense shakes hand in pledge and puts up security for a neighbor. Whoever loves a quarrel loves sin. Whoever loves a quarrel loves sin. Whoever builds a high gate invites destruction. One whose heart is corrupt does not prosper. One whose tongue is perverse falls into trouble. To have a fool for a child brings grief. There is no joy for the parents of a godless fool. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. The wicked accept bribes in secret to prevent the cause of justice. A discerning person keeps wisdom in view, but a fool's eyes wanders to the ends of the earth. A foolish son brings grief to his father and bitterness to the mother who bore him. If imposing a fine on the innocent is not good, surely to flog innocent officials is not right. The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongue. So these are the passages that we are going to be looking at, this morning. I know that this passage will touch everybody. Definitely, it touched me. It touched everybody. The things we do, how we do the things we do, what we want to become. So we are advancing gradually. We are advancing in this, what I would call the architectural core of Solomon's, this masterpiece that he has given to us. So Proverbs 17, I'm going to be analyzing it soon, but it actually confronts us. It confronts me. And it confronts us with this, what I would call this systematic matrix, that is what governs the stability of our lives, of our corporate life, of our boardroom, of our business terms, of our inner family chambers. And that is the environment of peace. Look, it talks about peace. It talks about being quiet. It talks about not stirring up things. It talks about, so what do we do in a world that is so full of reasons to want to talk, reasons to want to do something? So, this passage, this chapter, what it does is to kind of pull back the curtain. When you have a blind or a curtain at the window or at the door, you don't see what it pulls back, the curtain on this profound truth for every one of us, every disciple that is here. And that truth is that success for all of us cannot be measured solely by just the scale of your assets. So success is not based on just what I have. If my relationships are completely fractured by internal strife, you can't be successful as a family person if there is strife in your family. We cannot call your family successful. We cannot call your business successful if there is strife in your business. We cannot call our ministries successful if there is strife in our ministries. And that is what this passage is confronting. So this morning, I want us to focus on these words. I'm going to pick some of the ones that are very outstanding, that really throws a punch. And we're going to look at the high price of a continuous house. So if you want your house to continue, there's a price for it. If we want our nation to continue, it's that there's a price for it. But at the same time, if there is contention in our house, there's also price. There's a price for contention in everything that we do. One person might win, one person might lose. But where there is arguments, where there is quarreling, when there is prickly situation. When I use the word prickly, it's like something that choke you. I'm looking at the words. In Igbo they call it agega, egun. In preaching they call it chukuchuku. They call it chooks you. Where you have a place. Can you imagine if there are pricks here? I can't live. I can't sit down. So Proverbs 17 opens, by immediately, restructuring how you and I calculate the value of our environment. How do you calculate the value of your environment? Look, just from verse 1 alone, it said, better a dry muzzle with quietness, or better a dry crust with peace than a house full of feasting with strife. Better a dry muzzle, it's just or a crust, just okeleko, like they say, with quiet, than a house full of feasting with strife. Which one will you want? Which one will you prefer? To have everything you want in your house, but there's no peace in the house. In the ancient world, in the time of the Jews, and in those places, even till now, when they say a house full of feasting, that house, it refers to an affluent house, a house of celebration, a house where they celebrate sacrifices or where they host elaborate banquets. There's always food. I remember a friend of mine. We met in a jazz club, and she was having issue. I didn't know that this person used to own one of I would say one of the biggest, a very big school in Lagos, and she practically almost lost everything. One of the things she was telling me, he said, Mr. Emmanuel, he said, do you know there was a time in my house that they were cooking all kinds of food. At that point, she lost virtually everything. So which one will you prefer? And for the Jews in those days, that kind of house was the absolute symbol of, let's say, material abundance. It was the absolute symbol of status. It was the absolute symbol of corporate wealth, where everything you need is there. But you see, Bible said a dry muzzle or a crust. It was just maybe a piece of something that is stale. A bread that has started getting very hard. There's no more fresh. This represents some extreme economic constraint. When you watch some of this African magic, and sometimes it's not funny. It's not really funny, but it makes you think. Let's say a husband and wife, they started off very, very humble and everything. Then when the husband now blows, that's when the husband now begins to now go. The woman will now be crying. Remember, I suffered for you. You didn't have anything. And we say, which answer you suffered for me? But within it's actually truth. Sometimes some people wish, I've known people who wish that they should go back to when they didn't have anything. In fact, somebody told me one time, very sober. In fact, a brother actually told me, he said, man, I wish we should go back to, and he was pointing out like maybe 30 years ago when they didn't have anything. He said his house was happier. But now with houses and everything, there is no joy. Can you imagine? We are wishing that you go back. In fact, some women would pray that their husband would be broke. That when they didn't have any money, they were together. They used to see the husband or they used to see the wife. But right now with affluent, whatever there, the husband is gone. The writer introduces a radical value system to all of us today. And now we're talking about wealth, money, but look at what he said. He said, putting together that your structural quietness, it actually transforms, the economy, the economic minimum into a sanctuary. Sometimes in a relationship, sometimes in a situation, being silent is golden. They say silence is good. Now, again, I'm going to explain what I mean. I'm not saying that when you see something wrong, you shouldn't talk. But if it's going to rob you of your health, and if you weigh the damage, the pros and cons, what do we do? Then at the same time, it's saying that internal conflicts, it completely devalues the material luxury you have. So why structural quietness? When I use the word structural quietness, it is calculated quietness. It can transform your social capital. Yeah, that's the word that is trying to come to my mind. Your social capital. Why structural quietness is building your social capital? Internal conflict is the one that is depleting it. So what does wisdom say to us this morning? Wisdom insists that conflict is a drain. And you're going to see the word there. It's a drain on your operational capital. No matter what I have in the house, no matter how hard I work, no matter what I try to provide for my family, if there is strife, it drains everything. So this, wisdom that insists all of these things is asking me, is telling me that guarding the peace of my borders, it should be the primary leadership duty that I have. Guarding your peace. I mean, for many years, I didn't understand this. As Christians, we are very vulnerable. And I'll tell you why. As I read these things, it's a mixed feeling. I am glad I'm reading it. I'm also saddened that I didn't know these things earlier on. Because for me as a person, for years, I didn't guard my peace. I didn't protect my mental health. I was practically allowing things to ruin me. How and again, a lot of things are rushing into my mind, so I'm trying to separate them as they're coming. You know how you are taught, oh, you have to give your best, you have to do everything, nobody ever tells you you can stop to rest. Nobody ever tells you you can say no. Then when time hits the road, when things go bad, someone say, but you didn't talk now. I'm like, since when? Disciples are also supposed to complain. As you are complaining. You are like, your health is important. There's a time to speak, there's a time to be silent. It's not every time. So there are three things I want to share with us today, and I call them the pillars of truth that I can dream from this thing. Number one is peace is better than prosperity. Peace is better than prosperity. And that is the opening baseline of this text. It establishes that peace is what I would call an active asset. Now, again, I'm using structural engineering words. I'm also using economic word. I've been doing that since I started this. I can call them your active assets. What you have is not, and that piece is not a passive luxury. Some people, they have luxury that passes, luxury that they cannot hold on to. But your peace is your active asset. If you don't have peace, you don't have anything. And that's why I'll tell you over and over again, peace became not just a wish, not just a language. It became a greeting, shalom. Just can say wherever you go, plead your peace. Many today are not at peace. There are many times in my life I was not at peace, and I didn't know, because we live in a very frantic culture. Our culture, that are frequently sacrifices. Every time we sacrifice relationships, we sacrifice our health, we sacrifice our ethical boundaries. We say we don't have ethical boundaries. We do all of this on the altar of this commercial expansion, of rapid accumulation. Sometimes because we want to gain much, we want to advance, we want to explode churches, but we are harming ourselves. We are harming ourselves. We're not stepping back to even enjoy life, to even live life. I was talking here yesterday to a disciple, an old friend of mine. He leads a church, somewhere, and we're like, a guy was like, we need to get together, man. Say we need to be talking more often. I said yes. I said, what about on Saturday today? I said, well, maybe we can make it 4:00. Why? Because I'm going to my old students' AGM. I have never been to my old school since I left in the 80s. I've never gone back there. I've never gone. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Because I was too busy. I want to go and see people. I was a senior prefect. And by God's grace, in the next few hours, I'll be stepping to that school for the first time. Since I left. I want to be able to go. I want to go to parties. I want to go to see, not just when people die, and I'm going by obligation. You want to have peace. You want to reconnect. Solomon warns us that prosperity without peace creates a highly volatile structure. Strife. Look at it. Strife. It talks about strife. What does it do? It introduces friction. Okay? It introduces friction into your creative capacity. Where there is strife, where you're not, where you're not settled in your mind, can't work very well. When you are troubled, another word for strife is trouble. When you are troubled, when there is conflict, when there is discord, when there is contention, when there is fighting, Abba. Sometimes it's just good to go to where you just laugh. That's why it's good to go to all those comedy session, because laughing is actually medicine. It brings down your blood pressure. It makes you glow. You live longer. So what strife does is to introduce friction into your creative capacity. You cannot think straight when there is always quarreling. What it does is that it blurs your strategic thinking. It becomes blurry. It's like me without my eyeglasses. Everything becomes very blurry. And it begins to break down the alignment of your team, the alignment of your household. Think about it. There are many people today who will just go out, like I normally say, they'll go and join Arsenal club or whatever club, not because they like football, but because they don't want to go home. For people, it's like, Monday. Monday is like the worst day because, I have to go to work. I have to go and see those people again. Like I normally say, this is the Mondayest Monday that ever Mondayed. So Monday, and you hate to go to work. So when you prioritize structural peace, when you prioritize this over just mere transactional profit, that's what we do. Transactional profit. If this person does it, then I will do it. No, I'm going to have my peace, irrespective of what anybody does, irrespective of what the country is doing. I'm going to find time to lock things down so that I can sleep, so that I can rest. The world will wait for me. So when you prioritize structural peace in anywhere you are over mere transactional profit that you have, what you're doing is that you are insulating your destiny from that invisible toxin. You are insulated. I'm insulated from too much cold. Okay, and those, what I call the invisible toxin, those poison are those things that cause empire, that have caused empires, that have caused countries, that have caused families to collapse inside and from inside. Now, you might still be asking, what is this guy talking about? Well, what is that passage talking about? We are going to be, juicing them. But I want us to pause for a moment, like we normally do. Let's pause. Let's take some of these things in. Let's affirm. I want you to affirm with me, whether you understand what the Bible is saying or not. But if you understand, it's better for you, right? I want you to affirm that I, Emmanuel Emeh, I resolve to value the assets of quietness and emotional alignment over material gain. I refuse to build a prosperous career at the expense of a peaceful environment. Just tell yourself that. Because it gets to a point in your life that none of these things matters anymore. All the noise doesn't matter. What you just want is your peace. That's what you want. Just to spend time with children, just to fool around, making mud on the floor, whatever. It's better to be in a big boardroom of important people and there's quarreling and fighting every time. So I want you to reflect at this time, even as we pause. I want to ask you today, ask all of us, are you currently tolerating high friction in your life? Are you constantly tolerating high friction? Or toxic conflicts? Or unresolved resentment in your immediate circle? Are you tolerating it simply because the environment is financially profitable? Yoruba people, I love languages. And since there are more Yoruba people here, that's why I speak Yoruba. I speak 4 languages, by the way. I'm learning my 5th language. He said, what you cannot accept as a rich man, you begin to reject it when you don't have anything. So you get used to it. You don't wait. So there are some things you should reject. So are you currently tolerating high friction? I'm not saying that every friction is true. No, but very high friction. Toxic conflicts, unresolved resentment. Are you tolerating it in your immediate circle? You are allowing it because the environment is financially profitable, or because there's something you are gaining there. That is wrong. That will take us to what I call the law of the breach. I mean, there probably no such thing, but I'm just making these things up. Because the Bible uses the word breach there, and I'm going to show you why. Let's talk about the law of the breach. And that law of the breach, according to me, is basically, or let's according to the Bible, because I'm drawing it from the Bible, is stopping striving or quarreling before it swells. And I'm going to show you how did I get that? In verse 14, Solomon provides this, what I'll call this exceptional. Now, I'll use a word that sounds like fluid. I'll use the fluid. It's a fluid dynamic metaphor, of conflict. This is a metaphor because it uses dam. He uses the word dam. In verse 14, he said, starting a quarrel is like bridging a dam. When a dam bursts, it don't break. That's what's called to bridge. Or whenever they are fighting, they'll hold their line. But when they breach the line, when they break through it, it becomes a disaster. It says starting a quarrel is like bridging a dam. So what do? So drop the matter before a dispute breaks out. Drop it. So that we don't begin to sing about it like Sonny Ade sang, I think it was in the 80s, when Ogupa River in Ibadan, when he said, Ojo abami to ro ni Ibadan, Ojo kekere kan. Oro Ogunpa, Oro. One day you're going to start singing, Boba Jeshe Oba Dariji. So drop it. It's not good for your health. There's some things you drop it. So I want you to imagine a small, hairline just on a dam. I mean, there are no too much dams. There's no dam here in Lagos, but in London there was the Asa Dam, the Agba Dam. We had them where they bridge water. So what I was doing for, if there is just a small crack, a fracture in this massive concrete, water will start seeping small. You might not even see it. It might just like a leak. It might just be a leak. But if you leave it unaddressed, if you don't cover, most dam that are built those days with limestone has a way of sealing itself back, with time, even there's a crack. But when there is a major crack there, and those cracks can be, and if you anything that is left unaddressed, any immense pressure on it behind it, it will rapidly begin to just widen the gap. It's just gradual, and it begins to create a catastrophic roaring floor. Boom! When it bursts, boom. That's why whenever they open the dam in Ogun State, you will see water. Whenever that they open the dam in Kanji Dam. In Kanji Dam in Niger State, or is it Niger State? Yeah, Niger State, or in the Aswan Dam, or the one in Lokoja. Whenever they open the dam over there, you see flooding in Niger Delta. Whenever they will say, the dam was overfull, because water, it takes our River Niger about 5 months to travel from where it's coming from way far back, West Africa. It goes about 5 countries, almost 6 months. It'll travel before it gets here. So usually sometime when we don't expect water, that's when water will not come. After the rain season has passed, then the water will not start flowing. So conflicts operate exactly the same way. Conflict in your marriage, conflict in relation with your children, with your spouse, where you walk, everywhere, your neighborhood. So a minor offense could be a minor offense. It could be a careless word, or it could be unmonitored disagreement. It can quickly begin to swell into what I'll call a legacy-ending legal relational battle. It ends the legacy. There is no continuity anymore. It ends friendship, it ends relationship. You will see where spouses separate, husband moves out or wife moves out, or children move out, never come back, or so many things. Nations divide. So many things happen. But true wisdom requires that every disciple, every leader, all of us, you and I, we have to master the discipline of rapid de-escalation. Quickly. So how do we rapidly de-escalate? Putting out these sparks, these small sparks, before they become this unmanageable forest fire. I mean, that was a movie I watched about something that happened in California, America. I don't know what the movie is called, but it's about this forest fire that was burning. I think because of a true story. And there was this bus driver that was supposed to drive in a school to go and bring children in school. I mean, it is, if you don't have heart, don't watch that kind of food, because the fire is coming, the guy will be driving, looking for a way. They were cornered. But sometimes those fires are started by someone just smoking cigarette and tossing it away. It might just start by something, well, something small. And for you know, a whole state is on fire. So please affirm with me at this time that I resolve to be an internal gatekeeper of my atmosphere. You're going to be a gatekeeper of your atmosphere. I'm going to refuse to feed that initial spark of offense. And I will choose to kill continuously to anything that comes. I'm going to do the order that is contention before it gains momentum. I'm going to learn to just curb it in the board, nip it in the board, like they normally say. Because if it's allowed, it can. Do you know how many relationships today that have ended? Because someone could have just said, I'm sorry. That's all. Bele, and although Bele, Olako, Odesilabo, there's male and female. Bele. They're just a sincere, I'm sorry. So let us pause, because this thing is going to get us down to our call to action, today. So I want to ask all of us here today, what's small? Let's call it small. It's small, but it's unaddressed misunderstanding. Are there any small, unaddressed misunderstanding that you and I are currently allowing to begin to seep in, to simmer? It could be that you are falsely assuming it will disappear. It will disappear without any intentional intervention. Feel it, don't worry. Oh my Lord. No. Is there any? No, it can. Actually, it can. But are there things that you are allowing today that you should have addressed? You should have resolved. Finally, because of time, let me quickly to talk about this thing in verse 9. And verse 9, it goes comme ça, like they say in French. Can go this way or that way. And that is this about covering transgression. Covering transgression become the architecture of true love. Of course, we know that love covers up a multitude of sin, right? We know that. But let us read something similar in verse 9. And that's where the writer begins to reveal the secret to building sustainable long-term alliance. Now, this chapter 17 alone does not answer every question about friendship, doesn't answer every question. This is just one. We're not talking about one. Yes, there's some time to speak. I would say there's time for everything, right? But right now we are just assuming that the way we use our tongue can actually de-escalate some things. Look at what he said. Say, he who covers a transgression seeks love, but he who repeats a matter separate friends. Now, in the NIV, you read something like, whoever will foster love covers an offense, but whoever repeats a matter separates close friend. And I'm going to speak a bit like a counselor now, or a life coach. Now to cover, if you look at that word that is used there, to cover is a fault. It does not mean practicing maybe unethical concealment. Whenever I counsel people, I first of all read our first meeting. I read out what governs me. I give them the the manual. I say, go and read the manual. This is what I do. This is what I do not do. One of the things I say is that whatever you tell me, it stays with us, unless you want me to tell somebody else. I work under the concept and act of confidentiality, but not of secrecy. Now, what does that mean? Not of secrecy. That means that whatever you tell me stays here. However, there are certain things you can tell me that can be danger to yourself, danger to me, or danger to the environment. I cannot hold it down. For example, and that's the example I use most of the time. I said, for example, if you tell me that you have a plan to go blow up Tomiland Bridge because you have quarrel with the government or anybody, first thing I will do is to try to dissuade you and find out why you want to do it. Don't do it, right? And why. If you refuse and you are bent on doing it, then by law, I am now bound by law to go and report you to authorities. Because knowing, I become an accomplice, to it. So to cover up here, Bible uses, it doesn't mean us practicing some unethical concealment. There is ethical concealment and there's an unethical concealment. It doesn't mean us tolerating abuse. Because when we say, what about if you say, that's what we're talking about here. What it means is for you and I is choosing not to expose a person's vulnerability to public mockery. That's what it means here. Or to any endless gossip once a matter is resolved. And I'm going to tell you what I've experienced as a person. When I see myself repeating an event and a hurting event, or when you hear anybody, any man, any woman, any wife, any husband, any child repeating whatever, what is telling you, or what I realize about me, is that I have not healed. So I say, but you brought it up again, because they've not healed. So if you, for example, if you constantly recycle, in another part, if you constantly recycle past error, somebody's past error, it could mean that you have not healed. But there's a way you constantly recycle past error. Someone will tell me, oh, my husband is always bringing up this thing, I will talk. Or my husband will go, it's either because they've not healed, or there's something you are trying to do. When you drop historical failures, when you drop failures back into the current conversation, something that somebody have done in the year 1901, if you are bringing it to conversation, or you are broadcasting, a team member's mistake or a friend mistake, to outsiders, so that you can to tear them down, the structural trust required for your teamwork. That's what we're talking about here. So wisdom builds up through restorative discretion. Restorative discretion. So you choose what to bring. If sometimes when you bring something up, it might just be for example, I'm not saying whatever there, and the way you say it will be different. But if I'm saying something with full bitterness, know that I've not healed. Know that I have not healed. Then you need to get help immediately. Okay, the person you are talking to might not be the right person to hear that. It might not be the right. Hypocrites cannot help you. So this kind of foolishness, it destroys through constant repetition. Okay, when you are with someone and you have apologized to somebody and they keep bringing that thing up, you now say, you know what? If that's how I want it, go your way and I go mine. So again, I'm not saying. What I'm saying is, when you find somebody constantly repeating a situation, the truth is that they've not healed, they need to take them apart. What can I do to help? I'm not talking about somebody, any small you just bring it to mock the person, to bring the person down, to just embarrass the person. No. That Bible said that's not what we're talking about there. So I want to affirm that I resolve to use my words to restore. I want to use my words to protect. I want to use my word to heal. I'm going to refuse to alienate my partners, my family, my wife, my children, by constantly repeating unresolved offenses, resolved of offenses. If something is resolved, let it go. If you can't let it go, then seek help, for yourself. Because there's some resolution that, even if it takes 20 times, it cannot solve. So what do? Take a gun and kill the person? No. That means that we need more people that can heal in our church. We need more healing in our church. A lot of people have gone through so many times, but they cannot solve it. So that's why they keep coming. We need to heal. Now, I'm going to quickly just jump to the end here. Our call to action here is also pursue peace with someone today. Now, this is a tall order, but it is possible. In fact, the person who called me yesterday is somebody I've started pursuing peace with. Another person say, I want to hear your voice. I want us to be talking more often. Sometime before now, that conversation could have happened. And I'll be the first to tell you, to pursue this kind of peace is not easy. It's not easy. But hey, that is the call to action. You have to make a move. You have to make a move for your own health, for your own peace, for your own, what do we do? Now, of course, other passages, we're going to discuss where there's time to let go. Just let people go. Let them be. You can, if you are the one begging, and they say no, no, then let them be. But if you are the one they are begging, what do you need to begin to heal? Then you need to be able to think. You need to lay your thoughts out. I think this is what I need. This is what I thought. There was a time I told somebody, like Paul, I need two things. They said, what? I said, I need a public apology and I need an escort. That's what Paul told them in Philippi. I need a public apology. Maybe a public apology will help. Who knows? So our call to action is to pursue peace with somebody today. Do not let this Saturday pass you by. Do not let let what we're talking about here just become theoretical exercise. Remember what we talked about Dame Foley, that foolishness. Dame Foley wins when we let our pride delay our reconciliation. So all of us today identify one specific individual. I'm not talking about 1,000, I'm talking about 100, I'm talking about 10. Just one person, whether a business colleague, whether a church member, whether an old client, whether a friend, whether an immediate family member, anywhere where you feel that your relationship has been strained by unresolved conflicts, by unresolved friction that's happened. I want us today to step over our pride, that wall of pride. Pick up the phone, send a text message, or book a meal time with that person, a meeting, to initiate what I would call a bridge building conversation. It might not be that you are married now, but at least a first date, like normally say in conflict resolution. It doesn't mean that everything is okay, but at least initiate. When you do that, you begin to shut down that bridge before the water breaks through. Now, this might be harder for some people than for others. But maybe it requires us to pray. Maybe it requires us to seek. Sometimes I have to seek input. There's some relationship that you cannot go alone. You have to take somebody to go with you because of how volatile it could be. But whatever you do, make just one move. It might just be a smile. It might not be a text message. It might not be just one move to today. Oh wow, it's almost 6. Usually I finish like 17 minutes, before the hour. But let me hear from you. What do you guys think about this all important discussion we're having this morning? There's